Hello, my little luxes. Welcome back to another episode of luxxxycharms, and I'm your host, cosplayer Charcy Lux. And today we are doing a movie review of Monstrous. Hello again, and welcome back to another luxxxycharms.
Hello!
And as stated before, I am cosplayer Charcy Lux. Today, for the theme of Deadmonth, even though Deadmonth was for the month of September, I had to span it into the month of October, which is going to be the fun Halloween theme of Monster Mash. But luckily, both those themes tied together for this movie that I'm doing a movie review on Monstrous. And it is about a killer Bigfoot. Or is it a killer Bigfoot? Now, I'm going to give another great big shout out to my friend Sarah for her Sinnful Sarah's Horror Menagerie. Because of her podcast is the reason why I even know about this film. So she definitely inspires me for the fact and the idea of thinking of the thought of these underdog horror films that people just kind of either A, forget about or just don't even talk about. Or in the case like what happened with this film and several other ones that I talk about, they get destroyed by the public and critics criticize it, give it a bad review, and she says it perfectly. Sarah will say, there's a horror movie out there for everyone. And she's very similar to me because we were just talking the other day when we did a Zoom call together. And we're talking about the fact how much we love and appreciate horror movies, and especially a lot of them that most people don't like, don't even consider on their radar. So I've been wanting to talk about this film after she did such a thorough, awesome, amazing job of talking about it. So definitely check out her episode as well. She had done it back in, I want to say, June of 2022, and she did it in line with her Pride Month theme. So I will link it in my description down below. So please definitely follow Sarah's podcast. And I am going to jump in now and we'll go with our usual. And I definitely want you to come and join the luxxxy family. So please like, please subscribe, and let's start diving into this movie review of Monstrous. Obviously, when we are talking about movie reviews here on luxxxycharms, I am going to give a spoiler alert, and viewer discretion is advised. We'll begin by talking about the cast and the crew of this film. You have Anna Shields as Sylvia, Rachel Finnegar as Alex, Grant Shoemaker as Jamie, Hannah McKenney as Molly, Catherine Daddario as Haley, Carrie Allison as Dana, and Dylan Gruen as the Squatch. Director of this film is Bruce Wemple, and writer is Anna Shields. Don't mind my background moving around. I am getting resituated, kind of just trying to set up things and make things look a little more even. So don't mind if things just randomly change in this video. But like I said, let's start with the simple plot synopsis from IMDb. And I really shouldn't say simple. It's not simple. It's just been, well, simplified and summed up way better than what I do. So I'm going to give that. A young woman goes searching for answers after her friend mysteriously vanishes in Whitehall, New York. In Adirondack Town, known for its Bigfoot sightings, she quickly learns that hiding in the woods is an evil more sinister than she could ever imagine.
About Bigfoot, they're really endures.
And this town in particular, Whitehall in New York.
Whitehall, New York has been a hotbed of Bigfoot.
Now, one thing that is really, really nice about this film is a very small cast. And this film opens up to where you are quickly introduced to Alex and Haley. And they are both in a vehicle, and Haley is driving the car. Well, on their way, it appears that they are heading to Alex's place, and she's giving directions. Well, along the way, a strange animal ends up running out in front of the car, and Haley accidentally hits this creature and kills it.
What the hell was that?
Well, when investigating, the girls end up realizing that they had accidentally killed a baby Bigfoot. So, of course, the parent were not specified if it is the mommy or the daddy Bigfoot, but they happen to come across the girls, and of course, in revenge for what had happened to their child, Bigfoot goes after the girls. Well, they make it to Alex's place, but Haley ends up getting caught and killed by the Bigfoot. This all happened back in 2017. So then you move into the fact that it is now present time. But you were told throughout records that over the time, all these different women were going missing in these mountains around this area, and that there were several Bigfoot sightings happening at the same time. Now you are introduced to Sylvia and Jamie's characters, and both Sylvia and Jamie are having an intense conversation in his apartment, and you come to find out that their good friend Dana has actually gone missing. It's just been one of those things where Jamie himself has been trying to do some investigating, trying to figure out what happened to their friend, and they had two leads. One was all the facts that these Bigfoot sightings were happening, and that Jamie started telling all these facts to Sylvia. But Sylvia was, of course, not paying attention to the Bigfoot information like she was thinking it was all tall tales. But Jamie was very specific in giving his information to Sylvia about the fact of how many different sightings that had happened. And each time that one of these different women had gone missing was always around the time that a Bigfoot sighting was happening.
I mean, the Sasquatch keeps to itself in the woods like a goddamn ghost. I mean, that's why no one can get a good fucking picture of him. Something pissed it off.
And unfortunately, the same thing had happened when their best friend Dana had gone missing. Well, Jamie, to appease Sylvia, kind of found a more situation that would seem more realistic to her, and had found out the fact that their friend Dana, before she had gone missing, had answered a Craigslist ad to give somebody, a random person she didn't know, a ride, but she would be paid to do this ride, kind of like an Uber.
Remember that guy named Alex? The mystery man who paid Dana to take him to the Adirondacks before she went missing? Well, guess who posted another ad?
Dana was paid by this person by the name of Alex to get a car ride. And when she was out doing this car ride for this person was when Dana went missing. Jamie had noticed that this same Alex had put up another Craigslist listing for another car ride that they would pay for. So he answered to the ad and told Sylvia that he wanted it to be a setup just to be on the safe side to see if this person had anything to do with Dana's disappearance. And of course, Sylvia thinks this is a terrible idea, but Jamie flat out said, he's like, I'm gonna show up, meet this person. They're gonna realize that I'm actually a guy, not a girl, because Jamie was playing it off as if he was a girl. Alex would have no idea until it was last minute. Sylvia was supposed to follow them in her car, so Jamie flat out said that nothing would happen, that she would be there as backup and able to follow them.
He thinks that I'm a girl, but I'm gonna surprise him, and then he'll have to let me drive him to his place, or it's gonna be weird. All I need you to do is be my backup. I just need you to drive behind me in case something happens.
He finally talks Sylvia into doing this plan, even though she doesn't think it's a good idea. So she goes to the meetup point and realizes that Jamie's not there. She finally gets a hold of Jamie and he apologizes and said, I ate some really bad food. I'm really sick right now. I've been in the bathroom the whole day, or the whole night, I guess I should say, and said, plan is off. Don't worry about it. Sylvia starts investigating and realizing that the only person that was there was a young woman. And so she finally asks Jamie, like, hey, what were the details of this person, of this Alex person? And he gives her the description.
What did you say Alex looks like?
I don't know. He said tall, dark hair, denim jacket, I think.
I think Alex is a girl.
Where Sylvia finally realizes and tells Jamie, I think Alex is a woman, not a man. So because of the fact that Sylvia realizes that Alex is a woman, she decides, I'm going to continue with the plan and I'm going to give her a ride and see if I can figure something out. Well, Jamie flat out says, that's a terrible idea. I'm not there. You have no backup. So she just tells him, as soon as you're able to start following, she goes, I'll send you coordinates and let you know and give you updates, and you can follow as soon as you can. She goes, meets up with Alex. Of course, Alex is also relieved to realize that, quote unquote, Jamie is a girl, because the fact that Jamie used his name for the whole meetup and everything. So Sylvia has to play along and say that her name is Jamie when she's introduced to Alex. So Sylvia is driving Alex to her house that is going to be in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the woods.
How deep in the woods are you? Should I know how to fight a bear?
No, the house is great. But honestly, it's kind of isolated, so yeah, study up.
Asking questions, just kind of to do small talk, but also to kind of see if she can figure out any kind of information. See if Alex knows anything about Dana or anything specific about the area. Sylvia keeps doing these things that kind of gets herself into a little bit of trouble with Alex, because in the middle of the night, she's going through Alex's bags because it's a long trip. They have to stop and stay at a hotel. Well, while they're in the hotel room and Sylvia's poking around in Alex's stuff, Alex actually wakes up and notices that this is happening.
Gotcha, bitch!
Well, she decides to confront Sylvia in the car ride while they are heading to the area where she lives. So while Alex is now interrogating Sylvia, she finally comes forward and says that I just was curious because of the fact with all these missing women that have been in the area, I just wanted to be sure who I was driving.
I knew about the disappearances. What? Look, you weren't online anywhere. I wanted to make sure you were who you said you were.
It continues on to where now the girls are finally talking and communicating. You come to find out that Sylvia and Alex have a thing for each other. Makes things kind of calm down and settle down, and Alex is less on edge now over Sylvia now that she's kind of opened up and started telling her why she was poking around in her stuff. They're finally continuing on until they finally make it to Alex's place. Sylvia had found out from Alex that she is a professional photographer and that she was heading out that way because she had to photograph for a wedding. But she had no vehicle or any way to get out there, which is why she does the Craigslist listings to see if people can give her a ride for a better price than, I guess, what an Uber or a Lyft would do for her, which I guess would make sense.
It's very expensive.
It's very expensive.
Once they are at Alex's place, that's when Sylvia starts noticing that there is a very strange frequency sound that is happening on the property. And that's when Alex explains to her, oh, it deters animals from coming around the house. It's a high-pitched frequency that animals don't like, specifically deer, so that they stay away from the property and don't destroy anything.
What's that noise? Oh, it's this frequency system. The ringing will go away soon. The deer hate it.
Plays a big part later in the film.
That's weird.
So the two women are getting more settled, more introduced to each other and communicating. And of course, we get the romantic scenes between Alex and Sylvia happening as things keep progressing and Sylvia keeps investigating on Alex and everything. And she finally decides to open up to Alex and tell her the truth. And she says that her name is actually Sylvia. And the whole reason why she's out there is the fact that her and her friend Jamie were trying to figure out what had happened to their friend Dana, and goes way more into detail and specifics with Alex. And of course, Alex starts giving Sylvia a hard time, basically saying, "You're a liar, and I don't like liars." And that plays a vital part as well later into the film. But Sylvia, and she happens to come across a photograph of a woman that was one of Alex's photos from her nice camera. And she recognizes this woman and comes to find out that this is one of the missing women. So, on top of her friend Dana being associated with this Alex, now she's got another photograph of one of these women as well.
Say what?
Obviously, Sylvia gets freaked out. She's now very suspicious of Alex and tries to leave. Well, as soon as she tries to go, her car won't start. And she realizes that somebody has tampered with her car and now it won't run. So now she is stuck there.
Fuck!
Well, in the process of her finding this all out is the first time that Bigfoot comes upon close to the property, and she sees this monstrous looking Bigfoot. And petrified, she runs into the house, and Alex finally has to tell her what had happened and that this Bigfoot is always trying to get on her property, which is the real reason why this high frequency sound is on her property. It's not to deter deer from coming there, it's to stop Bigfoot from approaching the house.
We're safe in here.
How?
That ringing you heard earlier, it's an electromagnetic frequency system that thing can't stand.
So now Sylvia is definitely stuck in this house with Alex, and of course she's got all these weird questions that she wants answered because she wants to know more about why Alex has this photograph of this woman, but she also wants to be very careful about it. Well, she starts digging around and poking around the house, and she goes down into the basement, and she happens upon these videotapes, and one of them has the name Dana on it. So Sylvia plays this tape, and come to find out, Alex is a serial killer. And she's been taking all these women out to this private property, and she's been murdering all these women in very brutal and horrific ways. And unfortunately, Sylvia's watching this tape and watching her friend Dana get murdered in front of her. Well, in the process of her finding these tapes, she also happens to find another victim tied up in the basement. And this would be Molly. So Molly was another girl that she had done the same thing, but she was still tied up in the basement. Well, Sylvia, in the process of going to untie Molly and to help her out, is when Alex starts hollering for Sylvia. So she has to pretend like she doesn't know anything and go back upstairs and communicate with Alex. Alex is already kind of caught on that Sylvia's been acting very strange, and with a few more questions and answers, realizes that Sylvia knows the truth. So now she and Sylvia are fighting and confronting each other. So now we go deeper into details about the whole fact and the thought process of the whole entire time, especially when you're giving that opening scene when you have Bigfoot who, in a rage for revenge for the fact of what happened with its baby Bigfoot, we are thinking that Bigfoot this whole time is killing all these women. But here it was Alex the whole time. And she was smart enough that she was finding out anytime that somebody had a Bigfoot sighting, and that she would plan these murders around the same time, so that this mystery of Bigfoot might be the possibility of all these women disappearing. especially since she was taking them into the woods where the sightings were happening. It just so happened that Haley, the one that she was going to plan on murdering in 2017, had accidentally killed the Bigfoot instead. So now Bigfoot was actually going after Alex and trying to kill her, but now she was using it to her advantage, and that every time a sighting was happening is when she was taking these women, finding them on Craigslist or somehow online, taking them out to her house, and was murdering them all. And we're given little hints throughout the way with this film as well. Like, she gives little hints to the fact that there's something not quite right about her. Like, she tells this old hunting story that her and her family had this competition that they would do, and that whoever would get the biggest buck would be the winner of that year. But every year, she would end up losing because her old dog would follow her, and before she could get any shot off to get a deer, her dog would get super excited and start howling and would scare off the deer. Well, the one year when she was 16 years old, and she had spotted this huge buck, and she had realized that her dog was going to start barking and howling at it, she decided to kill her dog and then turned around and killed the buck. And when she's telling this story to Sylvia, she's telling her in this excitement and this pride for the fact that that was the first year that she had finally won against her family in this hunting competition. And Sylvia flat out said, she's like, "But you killed your dog." And Alex's response is, "But I won."
So I shot him. And then I shot the deer. And then I won. You shot your dog. I won.
So right then and there, it's like, this is a huge red flag. There's something not quite right about this person. So yeah, murderous tendencies and not so okay.
No, don't like that.
So then it leads to the whole fact that Jamie has been trying to drive out to this house, but of course there's little to no reception whatsoever, so he's having a hell of a time trying to find this house. He ends up getting stopped by Bigfoot and attacked in the woods, but he's not killed by Bigfoot. Because Bigfoot doesn't have an interest in anybody but Alex. At first, Bigfoot attacks, realizes it's not who he wants, and moves on. So you have Jamie the whole time trying to make his way to find his friend Sylvia to help her out. You have Sylvia who's trying to get away from Alex. Well, Molly ends up getting out. She shuts down the power, which stops the high frequency sound from happening, so Bigfoot can finally come onto the property. And it just keeps progressing from there, where Alex's number one concern turns into, well, I need to turn the power back on so I can turn the sound back on.
No, without power, we're fucked. I need to get downstairs.
No, you're not moving.
Sylvia, you have no idea what this thing is capable of.
You come and find out that poor Sylvia, while fighting Alex, also ends up outside. She gets slightly attacked by Bigfoot, but once again, she's not the main focus that Bigfoot is concerned about. While she's injured in the woods, she happens upon an injured Jamie, or I should say Jamie found her.
Oh my god.
You were
But I have no idea. I saw it. I saw it.
So now you have both poor Jamie and Sylvia injured, trying to make their way back to the house. Well, in the process of getting there is when Jamie realizes that he needs to turn off this frequency, and Bigfoot can finally come on the property. And you have Sylvia and Alex who are fighting basically to the death at this point, where Sylvia is trying to have self-defense to survive, and Alex is just, well, a terrible murderer.
It has begun.
Because the frequency is finally turned off by Jamie, Bigfoot comes on the property. And you get this really epic kill. I'll be nice and I won't share it, but you definitely should see this movie to see this fantastic epic kill for Bigfoot finally getting his revenge, or his or her revenge on Alex.
Excellent.
Sylvia and Jamie finally have all their answers. They know what happened to their friend Dana. You end the film in the atypical form, Sylvia and Jamie collecting themselves and getting ready to leave. Because obviously, they're going to have to explain a lot to the authorities. And I don't know how they would explain it all, but luckily, they'd be able to be like, just go to Alex's basement. It will have all the answers you need.
Can't believe we saw a Squatch.
And definitely, as I had stated in my Dawn of the Beast movie review, that you should recognize some of these names for the fact that Anna Shields was also the writer of the film, and she also plays characters in the films as well. So not only is she playing a character in this film for Monstrous, she played Lily in the film Dawn of the Beast. And Bruce Wemple was the director of both films. And you should also recognize the name of Grant Shoemaker because he played Everett in Dawn of the Beast, and he plays Jamie in this film. We got several repeats, and it makes sense. I mean, it happens a lot, especially in independent films. You'll have a lot of people who love working together or are friends and just really know each other. So I definitely feel like it plays a good part in the fact that people, if you have really good chemistry and work well together, it definitely shows. So even though these are quote unquote technically low budget films, I think they are done really well. While working on my edits, I realized that I never touched back on the fact of when I had said that it's very important to note when Alex was discussing with Sylvia that she doesn't like liars and how much she despises them, yet it is foreshadowing for the whole fact that Alex herself is a liar and she's a terrible person. So yeah, I decided I would just throw this in real quick, considering the fact it is very important to note that the liar is the one who claims she doesn't like people lying to her. Now, for fun facts or interesting facts, I'm going to be reading the trivia facts that were on the IMDb Monstrous page because it's very similar to Dawn of the Beast. There was not a lot of information or behind the scenes that I could find, and I love the fact when you have the same cast and crew working together over and over again, and you can tell the chemistry between it and that they enjoy working together. There's a huge difference between seeing actors and actresses that like working together compared to you can kind of tell when they don't like each other. It only works out if it's actually characters that are supposed to despise each other that it actually will work out. So the first fact I have here is that Grant Shoemaker spent 3 days in the woods to prep for his role as Jamie. And it kind of works the same for when he did his character Everett in Dawn of the Beast, because he was a character that was out in the woods hunting for, well, Bigfoot all over again. So that is another fun fact to think about, that both these films are about Bigfoot, and it's a lot of the same cast and crew, writers, director. Crazy coincidence? Second fact that I have is the montage of Bigfoot experts on the internet wasn't in an earlier cut of the film. And I appreciate this montage that they have of it is different facts and different sightings that throughout the years from when Haley was killed by Bigfoot in 2017, you're seeing all these different sightings that had happened around the area. And it ties into the facts that Jamie's character gives Sylvia later on in his apartment. And he's giving the exact same facts that we are seeing. And these are tied and important because these are the time frames that Alex is using to her advantage and was taking these women out to her house and was murdering them. And she could use it and pretend like it was actually Bigfoot, when in reality, it was her. And the last fact that I have on IMDb is Jamie's apartment in Michigan was actually located in Brooklyn, New York. And I believe this entire film was filmed out in New York. So even though Alex and Sylvia were supposed to be having this day trip travel from Michigan all the way to New York, in reality, everything was just taking place in New York. Now, that was really all the fun facts that I had for the film. Eventually, I should buy the film, especially, in fact, do the same with Dawn of the Beast. I should start doing that for a lot of these movies that I want to do the movie reviews on. Yes, it is nice and handy with streaming. And I mean, I just recently talked about the pros and cons and differences between physical media and streaming films. And it's the fact that one of the biggest pros for physical for me is that you get behind the scenes, you get extras, you get bloopers, you get all that. And I should be buying these films, watching them that way. It's just so easy with streaming, especially if you need to rewind or go back. It's one of those where I could probably do both formats and have a digital form of doing it along with the physical. But yeah, we'll go into thinking about doing that a lot more for my future references because I'm sure there are a lot of behind the scenes information that I can get, especially from the physical formats. So now we are going into my final thoughts of this film. And unfortunately, Monstrous gets a very bad rep and it has very low ratings, especially on IMDb. I think it only had like a 3.8 rating. Once again, it's the same as Dawn of the Beast for me, where it's like most people that were giving it a bad review, and even when they're explaining it, it's like, I don't know why they're knocking on this film so much. I think people just put too high of expectations on independent films. These are not blockbuster films. These are films for enjoyment, and they have a deeper meaning to it. And I love the twist ending in this and the thought process of who is the real monster?
Like a monster?
And it's kind of the same thing with Dawn of the Beast. Like, you're led to believe that Bigfoot is the monster, and come to find out it's the Wendigo. This one's very similar. Except this one you're thinking, is it the actual beast, the actual monster, the Bigfoot? And come to find out, the real monster was Alex. Is it beast or is it man? Which one is the true monster? So I really enjoyed that element with it. So yes, I like this film. I enjoyed it. Your two main characters in this film, your protagonist and your antagonist, became lesbian lovers. It's such a wonderful element to it because it also makes you stop and think about it. Because even at the beginning, when Sylvia and Jamie are talking about meeting up with this Alex guy, they thought it was a guy, a man. They kept talking about this Alex guy. So it's also this other concept of thinking it's not just men that could be murderers and dangerous killers. Women can be just as dangerous too. And this Alex, she was a hunter. She was raised by her family to be this fighter, this hunter. I like that little element that is just tied in there of the whole entire time you're thinking, who is the real monster? So yes, I recommend this film for people to check it out. And I know that my friend Sarah, she had done the same thing in her podcast. And it's that saying, that element of there is something in a film for everyone to enjoy. There is something in every horror genre that you can find something that you can get amusement out. And this one kept you guessing. And I hate it when people always are trying to be like, oh, it was mediocre acting. How? How is it mediocre acting? I watch really bad, cheesy horror films like Thanksgiving. You want to call that bad acting? Yes, but they know it's bad acting.
Duh.
So when I'm comparing that, something like that, to Monstrous and how they were acting in that, they did a phenomenal job acting. It's not mediocre. Obviously, I'm probably biased by now at this point because I really, really like and appreciate Anna Shields. I enjoy her writing style. I love watching her progress. And I'm going to continue finding more of her films and seeing just her progress over the years. And so, yeah, I might have a little bit of a bias now. Because obviously, my cosplay, once again, is inspired by her character. I'm going to say very strongly inspired because it's not 100% matching her to a T from the film. But once again, I appreciated Sylvia's character and everything. So, yeah, please go watch this film. Let me know in the comments down below. Have you seen it? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? You know, the typical usual. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk about another film that has just been completely brushed under the radar. And it could be one of the facts that this was another film that took place in 2020. And we all know the horror stories of 2020, lest we try to forget.
Emotional damage!
Once again, thank you so much for joining me here on another luxxxycharms. And if you would like to follow me on my other social medias, please come follow me on my Twitter or my Blue Sky for Charcy Lux with 3 X's, or on my Instagram or Threads for Charcy87. And remember, I am the afterlife of the party, but I would love for you to come join me in the afterlife of the party. And please also remember to slay, subscribe, like, and always be yourself. Because in the end, all we truly have is ourselves. I also have my Patreon, and I would love for you to come and become a member on my Patreon as well. Your love and support and contribution will help me to continue to grow as a cosplayer, as a storyteller, and everything that is going to be put in from my Patreon is going to help me to be able to create better costumes, better content, better videos. So please come join my Patreon as well for Charcy Lux with 3 X's again. So until next time, my little Luxes, I hope you have a luxxxycharms kind of day. Stay spooky for the month of October. Bye.